Well, hey everybody, we're late doing this, but at least we're here after another episode of Married at First Sight. So, I'm Patty.
And I'm Al.
We call ourselves the professional lovers in
In
training,
training.
but don't have a whole lot to talk about tonight, but some very important ideas came out in tonight's episode. So, we won't hold you too long, but let's get right into it, starting with something that transpired last week at the very end that was talked about this week.
Right.
And that was Brandon's meltdown. Brandon. Anyway, Brandon exploded in anger a couple times, which led the first time to him totally ignoring, and we talked about that, ignoring Taylor. But the last one where he really acted bratty.
And toward everybody that was in his presence. I mean, if there was something that you had, dealing with your spouse, that'd be one-on-one. That's a personal thing, right or wrong. I mean, whatever it is that you're dealing with, that's between the two of you. But when you're in a social environment, you don't take out whatever your feelings are on everybody that's in earshot.
Because you end up making yourself look like a butthole.
An idiot.
And so it was unfortunate, but that definitely is a key that Brandon does not know how to handle anger or frustration.
And it's a sign of immaturity.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate because Taylor's concerned that his anger turns into disrespect is extremely viable. I mean, it's in the 27 years that we've known each other, 26 of which we've been married, we have never, when I say never, we have never cursed at each other.
Yeah. That's not an appropriate way of communicating.
Now, let me clarify. I've never cursed him audibly. So I don't want you to think that we don't.
We're both learning something now.
That we don't know
how to.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. But if you are the person that I am in love with as my partner, why would I call you out of your name?
True.
And why would I talk to you in such a way that is most destructive? I mean, that's the kind of stuff you might save for people that you don't know who've ticked you off.
Or that you don't care about.
But someone, yeah.
I mean, you put yourself in a situation where you have to back up to start all over again. Because you have ruptured a bond. And now it's like an injury. You have to let it gloss over. You have to build it back up. You have to let it, heal itself. And that only happens with time,
And I know that there's no love there yet between Brandon and Taylor, but come on. You still don't have to F me.
And there's no love,
everybody else around you.
And if there's no love, why do you feel so adamant about how you're feeling a particular way if something's not going right? I mean, if anything, just leave it where it is and go on about your business.
And could Taylor have used different language other than, I don't want to be married to this Brandon, I want to be married to the nice one? Probably, because of course all he heard was, I don't want to be married to. But again, we're talking about how you handle anger, and everybody gets angry. And in our book that we like to reference, Becoming a Professional Lover, there's a tip in here that talks about never go to bed angry. And psychologists see anger as a form of fear that is triggered by insecurities or unresolved issues. And Brandon has clearly said that his issues stem from the level of vulnerability that's required for filming as well as building a relationship with Taylor. I I'm not sure why people insist on applying for this show. Because he is not the first one.
Because you know what you bought into.
And you know that cameras follow you
It's a
around.
documentary.
Okay? Anybody listening to this who might be thinking about applying for the show, please don't. If you don't want cameras in your face all the time.
Really?
That's part of the show.
Yeah, if you don't have the ability within yourself to be yourself under any circumstance, then this isn't a show for you.
Right.
Simple.
Right. But bottom line is you have to know how to handle anger in a constructive way and not in a destructive way. True. Because when you handle anger in a way that tears the bonds apart between you and your partner or spouse, then you've got to take more time to rebuild that.
True.
And that's going to take a lot more effort and a lot more trust that you won't go to those depths again. So,
and again, understanding the premise that you have gotten into this situation under. You're married. You're bonded. You're connected. From this point, you have to instill the patience of Job, if necessary, to give the relationship a time to build, to grow, to understand who this individual is, that professionals feel that you're matched for one reason or another, for a number of reasons. I mean, they go through a pretty solid vetting process.
it seems to be.
To get your character and personalities to meld and gel together. So all I have to do is be patient enough to find out why.
Right.
That's all.
So with Brandon and Taylor, you know, the issue is learn how to handle your anger. Okay? Learn how to anger should never what am I saying? Respect should never be an issue.
True.
Even when you're angry.
Because when there's a lack of respect, it ventures into bullying.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what he did.
Mm-hmm.
And now, just from coming attractions, Taylor has a support system.
Oh, yeah.
And I believe that he will feel very vulnerable
Even more so.
and insecure behind what he is now going to confront by people who also see how wrong his actions were.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's going to only make him feel worse.
But again, depending on what type of ego he may have or what type of personality and true character he has, he can take it and learn from it and build on it, or he can say, I'm out of here.
Yeah. So that'll be coming down the pike next week. So we'll get a chance to talk about that after we see what happens. Zach and Mindy did move in. Okay, can I just say, I know we're not supposed to talk about the people because we don't really see the ins and outs
True.
of how things happen or whatever.
True.
But Zach, as a communicator, it annoys me that he talks in circles. Even in his discussions with Pastor Cal, he was talking in circles. And I don't know why it feels like he does that because he doesn't really want to answer the question directly. So he takes it all the way around the barn to take it out of his court.
Exactly.
To put it in somebody else's court.
Which to me is a commitment issue. And I'm not saying that well, no, actually I am in a certain way. I believe that he has fear of commitment issues. I don't believe that he's never had relationships or anything like this, but marriage is a final.
It's a committed relationship.
Yeah.
You have to be committed to marriage.
Yeah.
To do it right. And he's not yet. And it
I
doesn't.
don't think he understands what it is.
Yeah,
Really, I don't.
and when Pastor Cal was like, "You have to have patience." Oh, I have to have patience. Like, dude, you've only been with her for a week.
Yeah. And I mean,
What are
everything's
you
not supposed to happen.
expecting to feel if you and he insists on believing, and I feel like he's really trying to believe that he's not superficial. And I feel like he's really trying to believe that intelligence and all of this is just as attractive, and yet you say that she checks off all these boxes, but because I don't feel a certain type of chemistry, and this thing about I'm not here in the apartment because I want to be able to miss her. You don't even know what to miss.
Exactly. You haven't given yourself a moment to understand what it is about her that you would be missing.
So
You don't know her. You don't know her.
yeah. So I hope that Mindy has enough patience, and she seems like she's got the commitment to stick around and see where this goes. But right now, he's not giving her anything. She really is riding on her personal commitment. And let me say that is marriage.
Yeah.
And love, this idea that love is a feeling that you fall into, which is what Derick was talking about. And Derick putting a time frame on. I don't expect to fall in love with her before 6 months to a year. That Pastor Cal hit it on the head when he said, marriage is not something you fall into. I mean, love is not something you fall into. Love is not a feeling. Love is a commitment that you make to be in a relationship and give it all you have.
And it grows.
And it grows. Now, yes, if you've got that chemistry right away, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
You're supposed to have kind of.
That just means you're willing to give it whatever amount of time because you enjoy the company that you're currently in. You're willing to give it the time to grow so that you can be in love.
Right.
This situation, you're already committed through a literal bond.
Well, first you're committed by the choice that you made to do this.
True.
And the choice that you made to accept the marriage partner to go through with it.
Yeah.
That's the commitment. So
why not just be patient?
Yeah.
And allow growth to take place.
Yeah. So we're hoping that, that will change at some point and that Derick will realize that this is not about falling in love. Now, talking about them too and her ex, I really like the way Derick handled the whole ex-boyfriend thing.
Yeah.
Because with more ego and with more insecurity, he could have gone in left field.
If it's about competition,
I'm out. Reaction.
I'm here now.
Right.
If you still got a thought about him, then go to him then.
Yeah, and I'm glad that he didn't take it there because it wasn't warranted.
True.
She explained it, and he said, "Hey, I trust you. Mm-hmm. I appreciate you telling me that there is no contact." Because remember at one point way back in season 1, Jamie and Doug. Mm-hmm. Jamie was keeping in contact with an ex, one of her exes, when their marriage was going through some bumpy rides. And it's important, we all have ex-loves in our background, and when we get married, some of us maintain friendships with our exes.
True.
And, that doesn't mean that because you get married, that's got to go away. But you do have to begin to incorporate your spouse into that friendship.
True.
So that, and we do have a tip in our book here that says that friends should be friends of the couple. Now, I should not have
her set of friends.
My set of friends.
I have my set of friends.
Especially if there are any exes involved. True. And his set of friends with just him. No. They become friends of each other.
Right.
And does that mean that we're hanging out with exes and stuff. Not all the time, sometimes. But I mean, that's just if they happen to be in the same vicinity. But and it's easy with Facebook and other social media to stay engaged with people from our past. But if your spouse doesn't know that you're doing that, that's not cool. And it's something that you engage in regularly, that's not cool. Because the bulk of your time should be spent with your significant other.
Definitely.
That's where the bulk of your time should be spent. And, other friends, yes. Sometimes, but we're talking specifically about exes. So I like the way Derick handled that.
Yeah, and I think the key line that I think came from him letting me as a man know that he is secure within himself. He just let her know that I'm not him. Whatever it was that you had or didn't have, whatever makes you still connect, I'm not him, but whatever caused you to disconnect, I'm not him.
That was good.
I'm here.
Yeah.
So.
And it's all about that security.
Right.
All people want to feel is that they are secure and that you are putting them first. And that takes us to Mika and Michael, who she indicated that toward the end of their session. But we've talked about Mika being an alpha female, and she was exhibiting that again tonight. Her being very critical, being very exacting, and just really talking about, what he does and does not do and how weird that is. And,
there's a relationship is work, but you don't have to make it feel like work.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm getting from her. And I believe Michael is trying to allow it to be organic, because again, this is new to everybody, but he's a little older, and he's had certain dynamics in his upbringing that are definitely a surface part of his being, his personality, his character. And, being given up as a child or as an infant, by his mother to his aunt and knowing it, that plays a little bit on a person's molding and their character and how they formulate their personality and belief system within themselves.
He said that.
And I believe that, he has a little. I don't think he's combative. He's not a combative
not at all.
Type of person.
No, he doesn't like confrontation.
And Mika is.
Yeah.
And I don't believe that she necessarily does it to be combative. That's part of her personality. But she's going to have to understand how to deal with him.
Yeah.
To get what she needs from him. And I believe she wants to be in a relationship. I believe they both want to be in a relationship.
Well, they've said that.
They just got to learn how to understand with that delivery.
And I feel like she needs to back off a little bit. I mean, you have to respect each other's ideas and individualism and the differences that you have, and she's having a hard time accepting the differences that they have.
There's a difference between oneness and sameness.
Right, and that is a tip in our book here, that oneness and harmony is not sameness.
Exactly.
You don't have to be just alike.
Because you're not going to be.
I mean, and we're pretty, there's a lot of similarities between you and me.
Just personalities, characters, demeanor,
Yes, I mean, thinking the same way, finishing each other's sentences, saying things out loud at the same time with the same words, it can be a little weird sometimes. It's actually a little
scary,
little creepy, but it's happened so many times. So the fact that we will be silent rather than to disrespect each other when we fight, all of that is very same. Very same. Yet, there are differences. And differences should be celebrated.
True.
Because, in areas where I have strengths and he doesn't, he can use that from me. And vice versa. Areas that he has strengths that I don't, I can use those from him.
Yeah.
And we've been able to learn from each other and adapt certain things from each other. So don't think that your partner has to be exactly like you, do things exactly your way, or that your way is the only way. No, your partner may have ways as well that are different, but it's not good or bad.
They could even be exciting.
Yeah.
If you allow them to flourish.
Exactly. So don't be in a mindset that you have to be the same and do things the same way in order to be working together. No, a partnership means that you're accepting the strengths and the skills and the knowledge and the talents that each individual brings to the relationship and using that to make the relationship stronger and to move everything forward.
Even the insecurities can make a person feel confident in knowing where they are needed, just so that your significant other can feel better about themselves. So, I mean, that's why you're together, to bring 100% of what you are and who you are to a relationship, to ensure that between the two of you, there's nothing but strength.
Absolutely. So, there you have it today. Week 7 of our Married at First Sight recap. And we look forward to seeing you here again next week. And if anybody watching lives in the Huntsville, Alabama area, we are going to be doing a workshop on February the 29th featuring this book, going through some of the tips of this book, Becoming a Professional Lover. And so we invite you to come out from 6 to 8 p.m. At on Oakwood University campus. And come out and let's talk together about this great relationship manual that gives you a lot of practical tips in order to help move any type of relationship. It is written from a marriage perspective, but it can work for any type of interpersonal relationship. So we'll mention it again, but again, if you live in the Huntsville, Alabama area and want to come out and chat with us and hear about this book, we'll be glad to see you. Until next week, peace.
Enjoy.